I'm going to talk today about why gluttony is not the same as struggling with overeating or binge eating. Let's get into it. But first, welcome to the Body Ally podcast, where we learn how to stop battling with our bodies and with food from a faith-based approach that's also backed by brain science. We learn instead how to be an ally with our bodies, partnering with our bodies and accepting them as the gift that God intended, learning how to pursue health goals, not in an act to prove our value or to earn our worth, but instead as a kind act of love. I'm your host, Kerrie Nygard. Okay, let's get into it. So many women that I work with, most of the women I work with, mass majority of them, by and large, are faith-based, either biblically or otherwise. And I have had many women over the years feel like that their overeating was the result of a deep sin on their part. A sin that they tried to give to God over and over and over again, and it just seems to keep coming back. Now, my argument and what I'm proposing is that gluttony isn't just overeating. Gluttony is something much deeper. And I'm going to explain why women, real faith involved, wonderful, virtuous women struggle with overeating and have it not be a result of gluttony. Let's get into it. Okay, so you need to realize that anytime someone sins, it's usually, by and large, the result of a deep and unmet need on the part of that person. And if we're going to look at other people or ourselves, we need to be able to see the results of those sins as the result of an unmet human need, not want, but need. What need are they trying to get filled? So why does overeating and binge eating occur? It happens because of a sense of restriction or a sense of starvation on the part of our brain. You need to really understand this, okay? Because when it comes to just like overeating at meals and binge eating, if you have a past where you have restricted food, whether it was for health or for weight loss or for whatever reason, anytime we hyperfixate in on food restriction, or if we've actually had experiences where food was scarce, or we went through periods of starvation, whether that was environmental or because of maybe a health diagnosis of that degree. I see this with women who maybe have gone through severe sickness when they're pregnant. When they're no longer sick from pregnancy, they oftentimes go through a period of overeating. Why? Not because they're like free and they're going to get it all in, but on a subconscious, hardwired survival instinct level, biology taking over. It's your body trying to protect you from this threat happening again. And so what does it do? It increases the desire to eat. It increases through your hormone levels. So if you feel like you're overeating and you don't want to be eating to the point of discomfort, and you think, I'm just broken, I'm sinful, I'm gluttonous, I'm telling you, it's biology. True gluttony is when you overeat and make that your sole purpose in life. It's when you no longer strive to serve God, or you no longer have other values. Instead, your value is the food. You have a principle of overeating. An example of this would be like the Romans or the Greeks, especially the Romans. They would eat in excess, go throw up, and come back and eat more. And they weren't doing this because of this true desire. They didn't have a desire to actually have temperance and control around food. No, they full on let go and allowed the pursuit of pleasure from food be their sole focus. But that's not what I'm seeing with the women I work with. What I'm seeing is women who have strong values, strong principles. They serve others, and they have this weakness, this result that keeps happening in their life that they don't want to have happening. And they think it's a result of them not having enough willpower or enough determination, right? That's not what this is. If you have a past history where food was restricted, or if you've dieted, then what happens on a brain science level is that your body is going to basically feel like it's in a survival state, either physiologically or psychologically. They're going to get signals that food is scarce. That's going to increase your hunger hormones. You're going to have obsessive thinking about food. Your nervous system is going to feel dysregulated. You're going to feel out of control around food. And then the shame comes in. and you think, oh, I'm so shameful that this is going on, that it's a result of me being broken. And many of these women have tried to seek deliverance through repentance, through giving it to God, yet are still left with it. Is it because God isn't hearing them? Is it because God can't do it? No, it's because biology is taking over, and there's an opportunity here. The opportunity is to grow through this experience. So it used to be that I would overeat growing up because food became my comfort. It became my comfort, and so I would go to it and I would overeat it. And it was because of an unmet need of knowing what to do with my emotions. And once I learned what to do with my emotions, and once I learned to see my body as not a problem to fix, but instead as my partner, something to love and to be in partnership with in this life, then I was able to access the shame was able to go away, so that I was then able to access using skills around my emotions, skills in deprogramming these strong food urges in my brain. But when we feel so much shame, when we think it's as a result of something inherently wrong with us, then what happens is that shame holds us stuck. Anytime we have shame is different than guilt. Guilt says I did something that's not aligned with my values or principles, right? I did something wrong. Shame doesn't say I did something wrong. Shame says there is something inherently wrong with me that I need to hide. Shame keeps you hiding, keeps you stuck, keeps you going back to the same behaviors that you wish would not be part of your life. And so it's really important that you get very clear on this, that your perceived gluttony is not a lack of your faith. In fact, it results by and large probably because you have a past history of dieting. Our whole society is based upon, well, not based, but our whole society has nuanced all within it diet culture, this idea that a woman is more valuable based upon the size and the way her body looks. This is a made up, dumb idea. God never told us that. There's not one. Now, I'm not saying you should give up all your preferences, that you shouldn't pursue your health goals. I'm all for that. But I want you to realize that you are a whole, complete person. And if you struggle with overeating and with binge eating, it is not a result of something misaligned in you. It is a result of biology taking over to keep you alive, to keep you safe. I have coached many women over the years who have come through periods in their life where their food was severely restricted, not because of dieting, but because of a health diagnosis. This has happened many times. And so for a period of years, they felt like they had to be hyper fixated and unrestricted around food. And when their body healed, and if you think I'm talking about you, realize that you're one of many that I worked with, okay? That once they've healed, then they find themselves being drawn to overeat. And they think, what's wrong with me? And I say, nothing's wrong with you. Your brain is doing what it's been hardwired to do, which is to keep you alive. And because you went through a period of time of physiological scarcity with food, a form of starvation, whether that was caloric or not, your brain wants to keep you safe from that ever happening again. It wants to keep you alive, but it doesn't do this from a reasonable standpoint. That's a higher brain functioning. It does that from a lower primal type way, and it drives up the desire to eat. It wants to put in storage against another time of famine. Doesn't that make perfect sense? So if you've gone through periods of time of binge eating or overeating, I want you to realize it's not because you are a gluttonous person. Nope, that's not what it's referring to in the Bible when it talks about gluttony. Gluttony is when you make your appetite your God, and that you're not striving to keep the commandments or to become godlike. When you're striving, right, to be a godly woman and you have this thing going on, that's not gluttony. That is a human weakness, or it's a reflection of your biology taking over to keep you alive. Doesn't it make perfect sense? We could even stand back and see this in terms of groups of people. If a group of people go through a time of famine because of the state of weather in the land, right? Then what are they going to do when times are good? They're going to store up food. Why? So that if that famine happens again, they still have food. Okay, we see this. So it's no different within your own body, that if you go through a period of starvation or through a period of restriction, whether that's true, literal caloric restriction or psychologically thinking in terms of restriction, Okay. Then it flips those survival responses. Biology takes over so that when the threat has passed, or when you go off the diet, or when your body has healed, or when you're no longer pregnant, or whatever form this takes, you tend to overeat. Not because there's something inherently weak in you. I mean, we're human. That's kind of the state of humanity, right? Our weaknesses. But because your body's trying to keep you alive. So the purpose of this podcast is to help you remove the shame that you've been heaping upon yourself. And instead of the shame, I want you to replace it with compassion, with self-sympathy and empathy, and realize this makes perfect sense why I would have this over desire for food. I had it. Back in 2015-ish, I had lost and gained the baby weight 5 times already. I had been dieting on and off for many years, even before my childbearing years. And so my body had been going through this yo-yo, restrict, binge, or overeat, however you want to call it, for years. So when I finally got down to the weight I wanted to be at again, the place I quote unquote thought I was supposed to be, but instead was left with out of control, weird behaviors with food, obsessive thinking about food, I thought there was something inherently wrong with me. Wrong. All those years had conditioned my brain, had tripped hardwired survival wiring in my brain, and biology took over, and the result was those things. I was not gluttonous. I was not broken. I simply needed to heal my nervous system, my relationship with myself. The most powerful way I've seen to do that is to come into this place of partnership with your body. It just settles that survival response down. It brings an overall well-being of safety and care. It is one of the most powerful things that you can process, you can go through in order to create that sense of safety within your body so that those over-desired programming settles down. If you're interested in that, you can always look in the comment section below, look at my other free content, or you can reach out to me, Kerrie@kerrienyygard.com. You can see if I have open enrollment right now for my group coaching program or for one-on-one coaching. You can work with me in that capacity. But realize you're not broken. You're not gluttonous. You simply have a body that's been hardwired to survive. So anytime there's restriction, whether that's through dieting or through actual life experiences or illness, oftentimes the result can be an overfixation and an overconsumption of food later. And it's all in a desire to survive. And this is evidence that you're human, not that you're broken. Thank you so much. As always, realize that you were not put here on this earth in order to always be thinking about losing weight and the size of your body and food. Instead, you were put here to grow and to live out God's plan for you. Remember to share this podcast. Join with me in my ministry, the Body Ally Movement, to show other women how to align and become an ally with their bodies rather than to struggle and battle with them. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.